Welcome to the Make More Money as a Dietitian podcast, where we talk about all things money, mindset, and marketing so your nutrition business can thrive and you can make a bigger impact in the marketplace. I am your host, Christine Diane, registered dietitian and money mindset expert. Let's get started with today's episode. Well, hello there, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of Make More Money as a Dietitian. I'm your host, Christine Diane Thompson, and I'm so excited for this episode today because today's episode is a guest interview. It is the first of many guest interviews that I have lined up for you guys so that we can listen to and learn from more of our colleagues about how to make more money in this profession as a registered dietitian. So today I am going to be introducing you to Ginger Hultin. And Ginger is a Seattle-based clinical dietitian and media expert, and she runs a virtual private practice and food blog called Champagne Nutrition. She also specializes in integrative oncology and complex clinical cases. So for all of you clinical dietitians that feel like you actually do love clinical, you are going to love listening to Ginger because she loves clinical as well. And Ginger actually wrote the oncology chapter in the new Krause nutrition textbook. Isn't that amazing? And she has a book that she has authored on the anti-inflammatory anti-inflammatory diet meal prep. So Ginger is super busy, yet she is super passionate. And one of the things that I really love about Ginger and what she does is that she actually went to school at Bastyr University, and nutrition is her second career. So let's go ahead and just get this started. And for those of you who are multi-passionate, you'll definitely love this interview. So let's go. All right, we are on, and welcome, Ginger. Welcome to the Make More Money as a Dietitian podcast. I am so glad that you're here because the brief conversation that we had before I push record already lets me know that this is going to be a really unique interview, and it's going to lend some great perspective to what it really means to make money as a dietitian and to feel happy and fulfilled in your job and in your career, I believe. So welcome again. I'm so excited that you're here, and let's talk about all the things, right?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm so excited.
yeah. So tell us where you're from and all of those things first.
Yeah, so I'm Ginger Hultin. I am from Seattle. I born and raised here. I'm a University of Washington grad, and then I ended up going back to school as a second career to Bastyr University for my
Ooh.
master's in nutrition.
Yeah. I love Bastyr. Oh my God, they have a really great program. So congratulations for even going through that program, because I know it is good and very, very good.
Yeah, it's extremely rigorous. And what I was attracted to is, it's a small university. It's a private university, and they have a very rigorous dietetics program and a focus on holistic and natural health. So it's the
Yes.
combination. So you're doing extra work.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Let me tell you, that is why I actually really love that program, because it also lends to a whole different dynamic of dietetics, other than just clinical, right? Like most traditional dietetics programs really just focuses on the science of nutrition from a clinical perspective. But then Bastyr said, no, we're going to do it different. we're going to give you a bit of the up and coming, the leading edge information. And I had previously looked into that program in the past, after I had already done my undergrad,
Mm.
just because I wanted a little bit of that extra training in that specific area that you just mentioned. So I love that you were able to come out what I feel like already on top, because you don't have to go back and get that training later if you feel like that's an area of focus you want for yourself.
Yeah, I actually get asked a lot, like, how can people brush up? They do have some really fun, like, additional continuing education courses, but,
Mhm.
in their master's program, it's like I took an entire class on supplements. Like, how
Mhm.
incredible is that? I took a class on whole foods cooking, organic
Mm.
gardening.
Mm.
They have classes on a whole classes on intuitive eating. Like, it's
Oh my
just
God.
really awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, for anyone who's listening, and maybe you're listening and you are a student, you're already in your dietetics program, but you don't have a master's option in your program. Bastyr University is fantastic. It's a fantastic program to look into, in my opinion, and I haven't even gone through it. So I'm sure Ginger can attest to that as well. So, yes, awesome. So, Ginger, describe what your early career as an RD has been like.
Sure. Yeah, I actually ended up doing my internship at Heinz VA in Chicago because I wanted a really, really clinical focus. And I loved being at the VA. And I can tell you, after being at Bastyr in the Seattle bubble, going to Chicago and working in the VA on the West Side was very, very interesting. And I
Mm-hmm.
just got a wonderful experience. And I really learned that I love clinical. I love the complex stuff. I love the cardiac and diabetes, and I'm an oncology expert. I just love that. So I actually launched my career, and I started working at a big hospital in Chicago at Lutheran General. And I really loved that work. And from there, the Block Center for Integrative Cancer Treatment, also in Chicago, they recruited me over. So I spent several years with them too. So for about the first 5 years, I was hospital clinical and oncology clinical.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about why you love clinical so much? Because I know a lot of us dietitians are straying away from clinical, and I'm wondering if it's because solely because of the lack of pay in the hospital and
Hmm.
clinical settings, and not so much the work itself. So, can you tell me why you really love clinical?
Yeah, I think, we get into this profession because we want to help people. And when people are really sick, when they just had a heart attack, when they're going through cancer treatment, they really need us. And,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much evidence that having good nutrition then can really improve outcomes. So I love that. And like a lot of dietitians, we love that complexity. Managing TPNs and tube feeds and looking at people's diets and doing specialized work and analyzing the medication interactions. Like, that's so interesting to me, as I think it is
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of us. And it's too bad that the pay is a barrier because it's really interesting work. And these days, there's also a focus on collaboration interdepartmentally. So I really enjoyed working closely with doctors and nurses and speech therapists and PTs and OTs. That was really fun too. I liked being part of a team.
Oh, I love everything that you're saying, because you're taking me back to actually one of the biggest reasons why I loved clinical when I first started out. Now, I'm more of a holistic and woo type of person now, and I still believe that that clinical part of me is there, or I would not have, of course, even gone through dietetics and made it to the end. But
Mhm.
like you say, yes, the clinical work is so, it can be really gratifying when I believe you have an employer who really values your contribution to the team of experts that are like helping patients get well. And yes, I know I personally used to love the um, tube feed and TPN calculations. I would nerd out on that so much. And I think that's why now, even in my career now, I nerd out on the money. It's all
Right.
about like, being really analytical and really being able to focus in on like, how can I make this money thing work? What's okay, well, this particular thing didn't work, so maybe I need to switch it over to this. And can you
Mhm.
see like there is definitely a correlation there, right?
Yep.
So I always like to tell people, when it comes to money, don't be afraid of it. It's just a calculation. It's
Right.
really just the formula, just like anything else that we would calculate in the work that we do as dietitians. So awesome, awesome, awesome. And I'm hoping that this is inspiring some of our clinical RDs out there, who are listening, because, excuse me, your work is so important. Your work is so important. And if there were a way that we could all band together as dietitians and help to change the industry income standard for dietitians who are in the workplace, who maybe don't want to be in private practice full time, we need to come together and do that, because not everyone is built and meant to be in private practice. And there's so many of us that are brilliant that really need to be in the space of these hospital institutions, clinical institutions, because our patients really need us. They really do. So I really appreciate your input on that. Now, tell me a little more about your champagne nutrition, what you're doing on the side there. I would love to hear even more about that.
Yeah, thanks. People really love the name Champagne Nutrition. It's really joyful, right?
Yes, it is.
I Yeah, I mentioned I'm second career. I am an English major, and I just think of myself as a really creative person. I love blogging and writing and recipe developing. And so
Okay.
while I have a passion for clinical, I realized early on that I just really needed a creative outlet, especially in the oncology field, which I love, but it can be a bit heavy. So I just needed something else. So I started my side hustle, my blog, in the beginning of my career, and nurtured it along to the point where I launched my private practice full time with a clinical focus a year and a half ago. And my blog and my brand is all called Champagne Nutrition, and that's an all-encompassing brand for the many things I do.
Mm,
But it's not just about drinking champagne, though I do love champagne. It's more about the champagne lifestyle and
mm,
include making sure to include the foods that you love and focus
okay.
on the things you can have and the joy of food and eating. So that's really the
Mm,
foundation of my practice.
okay. And so the name champagne, is it really centered around like joyfulness, or like what led you to that name specifically?
Yeah, I take a lot of wine classes, and I'm really interested in like the sommelier aspect. I work in restaurants for a really
Mm,
long time. That's my background. And so one thing I loved about the restaurant is the passion that people have when they're eating out for alcohol and combining food with drinks and the social aspect. So to me, it was kind of a nod to my past and just my love of eating out, going out, and having that passion around the way that food and alcohol interacts with our lifestyles.
yeah, I love that. And what kinds of clients do you generally see in your practice?
Yeah, so I see people that have clinically complex conditions. So people come to me that really want to focus on their cancer treatment. Like they're a full-time working executive. They're also going through cancer treatment, or they just got diagnosed with diverticulitis, but they're a legislator and they're traveling all over the country, and so they need a soft
Mm,
diet right now.
mm,
So I have these folks that are really high-powered. I have a lot of entrepreneurs too, and a mix of men and women, probably majority women, mostly like 50s and 60s. And they
okay.
just want to be really well, but drinking wine is part of their lifestyle. And so they have these
Mm.
complex conditions, but they also love food and want to enjoy their lives.
Oh my God. I am just loving this, because Once again, you're stepping outside of the box, you're coloring outside of the lines, and you don't necessarily have a niche either. Hello, people out here in the world. We don't have to do all of the things that all of the people say. Like, you have to have a niche and niche it down and be narrow so that you can focus on one area and be good at the one thing. Ginger is doing this as a generalist, and she's being of service to those high power people who have really complex conditions. And maybe they wouldn't be able to find someone who could help them because everyone and their mama, so to speak, is focusing on a specific niche. But Ginger is here to help because she can do that. And I think that is so awesome, Ginger. Good for you. I mean, we don't have to have a niche in order to do well in private practice. So how do you feel like you get your name and your practice out there so the people know that you're there to help them?
Thanks for saying that. I mean, I do feel like there's so much pressure that you have to niche or you won't be successful. And
Right.
I just love doing so many different things. It's been hard for me to niche down really hard, though I have worked on streamlining it over time and especially streamlining my messaging and my
Hmm.
marketing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I work a lot on SEO, both locally and nationally on my website and getting on a number of, like Health Profs and those kind of sites. And so people find me in a variety of ways, mostly online and a lot of word of mouth too.
Okay. Okay. And do you take insurance or you self-pay primarily?
I'm self-pay. I always have been, and I've actually worked in a number of large clinics that are also self-pay. And
Mm.
so I think there's this pressure like, oh, you need to take insurance, you need to take insurance. But I've seen it done not that way in many different ways. So
Oh
that's
my
how I
God.
roll.
Yeah. Oh, you're just coloring outside of all the lines. I love it. I think that's really
Mhm.
awesome because there is um a certain number of people who may believe that if they don't take insurance, then they're not going to get the referrals and all of these things. And you guys, this is just mindset stuff. Like, these are just thoughts that you're having. These are opinions that maybe you're hearing, but none of it is factual. And the only way that you'll actually know what is going to work for you is if you actually take the step forward. That's it. You have to find out what's really going to work for you. And you can't quit when something doesn't work. You just actually need to evaluate it like the scientist that you are, and then see what next step you need to take in order to make something work for your practice. So I love what you have put together here so well, and really coming from your own passion and your own desires and things like that, which I think I told you before we hit record that, is so important in my opinion. Like, our own intuitiveness is really such a thing of importance when we're building something new, especially from the ground up. So congratulations to you on this. Um, let's talk
Thanks.
a little bit about money, right? So that's what I like talking about. So let's talk a little bit about money and how dietitians don't get paid as much as other allied health professionals. We all know this. And why do you think that is, Ginger?
Oh, I have so many thoughts about this. I think it has to do with a little bit of the history of our profession, right? I think it has some historical roots.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it has to do probably with the fact that we're a female dominated profession,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. And we know there's some discrepancies there in income. But I also feel that, like you talk about in your podcast a lot, we're lacking some business skills and probably some negotiation skills that
Yeah.
would be really, really beneficial. And one thing you said is, we need to come together. And what I tell people a lot is we need to ask for more money, know how to negotiate, demand more money. I have negotiated and asked for more money every single job I've ever had. And I've left jobs that said, oh, well, it's not going to be in the budget ever. I was like, okay, well, then why would I stay? I'm leaving,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Um, And coming together, like I hear lots of different ideas, like we need a union or we need this or that. I actually see it coming from the individual level.
Right.
I see it coming from like you always say, we need to take matters into our own hands. I'm responsible for what I make. And in any house, even if they say they don't have the budget, I'm still going to talk about it and ask for it. So that is
Yeah.
something that I think we all need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually just posted something in one of the larger RD Facebook groups, and I posted a remote job. And the remote job that I had actually, it just came through my inbox. It's not, I'm not hiring y'all, but I just posted what I found in my inbox because I said to myself, oh, well, dietitians are always looking for remote work, especially now. Let me share this. I neglected to even see that the job that they were really looking for dietitians in Canada specifically. Now, my thought is still apply, because
Hmm.
what if they get more applicants from the US than they do in Canada? Would they possibly reconsider, especially since the job is remote? Why not? You know? And so I say this to say that we definitely need to ask, always ask. There is absolutely no harm in asking. No harm in asking for more money. No harm in asking if they would consider you, even though you don't live in Canada. I mean, we're all trained pretty much the same. It's just a different location, and it's probably like the currency rate. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's probably the main reason why, because they are based in Canada. And so that whole money exchange is probably the main reason why they were looking for someone in Canada. But you guys, we have to learn how to speak up for ourselves, right? I mean, I think it's so important. Like, you can't sit back and wait on somebody to to give you the money that you think you deserve,
Right.
right? And I love, Ginger, that you mentioned here that you have always gone into a position and asked for more money. And I think that is so important because you know the value of what you're bringing to the table. The work for us, I believe, is also not only knowing the value of what we bring, because I think in theory, most of us know the value. It's being able to effectively communicate that value in a way that will win people
Right.
over, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
What were
can't
you going to
ask
say?
softly. Like you can't be like, do you think maybe you could give me some
Right.
more money
Right.
someday? You need to go in. You need to go in way with so much more confidence. And there's strategy. There's strategy to this business wise too.
Yeah. So where did you find the strategy and the know-how to go in and say what you needed to say?
Yeah, I seek a lot of mentorship from
Mm.
other fellow dietitians and coaches, and I'm in a number of mastermind groups. So I really
Mm.
believe in that. We talk a
Mhm.
lot about that in mastermind. I'm actually giving a talk on masterminds at Fancy, so I'm really excited about
Oh,
that.
good.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
be good. And then I read books about business too, right? There's so many books about negotiating, and there's lots of tips online. Like you've got to study this stuff and be prepared going in.
Yeah, you do. Like, isn't that interesting? Like, I tend to think sometimes, and this is my mindset stuff. Hello, everybody. I have some too, but I, I tend to think that our community and our profession, we think that everything is supposed to be given to us. We think that the academy is supposed to have our back on all of the things. And that is not necessarily true. Like, when are you going to pull up your own bootstraps and do what you need to do for your own career? In my opinion, I feel like I would take more pride in my career if I came out on the other end having done all of these things. Like, I did this for myself and I got this. I did that for myself and I got that. Like, no one handed me anything. And I feel that's just a part of who I am, especially as a Black woman. I've had to work for everything,
Mhm.
including my undergraduate, my internship. No one gave me anything. I put my own self through college. I worked my way through college. I don't like asking people for things. And so that's where I come from. And I feel like that's why the energy of the mission that I have for the work that I do is so strong, because I'm just like, y'all, come on now. I have pulled up all kinds of bootstraps, and I know that you can too. So it's
Yeah.
good to hear, Ginger, that you really value being in community with masterminds and value investing in yourself through coaches and value like reading books on the topics that you know that are going to help you succeed in your career. This is such good information for everyone to hear, because we're not here to take handouts, y'all. We're grown-ups. We need to do our own work.
I just, yeah, I really love your messaging here. I worked so hard through school, and just really, after I got out of school, I had a lot of loans and I worked really
Mm,
hard, and I paid them off over time. And
yeah.
I'll never forget that day. It felt really good. And it was hard. What was I going to say? Yeah, there's a lot, there is definitely a lot of pushback from, about the academy right now. And I'm like, you guys, they are not responsible for us, like you said, and they do a lot of really amazing things. And I'm always like, go take advantage of their scholarships, go take advantage of their awards. They have a lot of support to offer if you take advantage, and they're a great resource, but they're not responsible for our personal success.
Isn't that something? Oh, girl, say that again. They are not they are not responsible for your personal or professional success whatsoever. They're not responsible for it. Now, they can help and be an advocate for certain things, and they can be a resource for certain things. But y'all, they are not responsible for your personal or professional success. Let us all understand this. Let us all get a grip and really understand that you got to do what you got to do. If you decide that you want to leave the profession and you're going to throw all that money down the drain that you have invested in this career, I don't know. I mean, if it really is in you that this is not for you anymore, then yes, find the thing. Find the thing that you're really meant to do. But if you know that this is where you're supposed to be and you want to throw in the towel just because you're frustrated, I want you to look at where you do that in other areas of your life. I can
Mm.
almost guarantee you that you do that somewhere else, where you just say, oh, you throw all the chips up. Like you're at the, I don't even think that's not blackjack. You see, I don't even gamble. Look, whatever table that is where they throw up chips, that's you in Las Vegas throwing up all the chips because you want to give up before you even find out if you can win.
Mm.
I can guarantee that you can win in this career, but you have to believe it and you have to take personal responsibility. And I think, Ginger, you are an awesome inspiration and an awesome model for what is possible in the area of actually doing what you love on both ends,
Mm.
not feeling like you have to settle and um, be an entrepreneur 100% when you really love clinical. You actually, it sounds like, have brought your clinical expertise into your practice. You haven't even niched because you felt that that wasn't necessary. I mean, this is such a great interview to start off this interview series with so many dietitians out there that are lined up to be on this podcast. So let me just ask you this. Why do you feel that you specifically have been able to be successful? And why do you think, and we touched a little bit on this, why do you think others are being held back from achieving their success?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I do want to acknowledge my privilege. I definitely, like, I have a partner that's supportive. I've had a number of pretty high paying jobs, because I've demanded them, so I definitely have had a number of fortunes, but also I've been able to take a lot of risks. I've pushed myself to quit jobs that weren't paying me like I knew I needed to be paid, and to launch a business that was the scariest thing I've ever done, to spend a lot of my money paying off my loan because I knew that was important. So just taking a lot of risks. And one of my personal philosophies is that you have to push yourself really, really hard. And I have a quota every week for how much I'm told no.
Mm.
And if I'm not hitting my no quota, then I know that I'm not pushing hard enough. So like you said, like applying to jobs outside of the country, or applying to jobs that are above what you're, are quote unquote qualified for, pushing it really hard, applying for stuff, aiming really high, and being told no a lot. That is one thing that I really, really enjoy, and I think has
Oh my
led to my
God.
success.
Oh my God. Okay. So this actually leads into something that one of my mentors, Brooke Castillo, recently taught about. She taught about how the formula for success is offers plus no's equals yeses.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're saying here, in so many words. Like you're saying, if I don't have enough no's, then that means that I need to push even harder, because that I'm going to get even closer to the yeses. And that's what Brooke Castillo has taught us. If you're not getting any no's, then that means you're not doing anything, or you're not doing enough. And so I see where you're coming from with that. It's like a lot of times, generally speaking, we tend to be afraid of the no's, and we make the
Yep.
no's mean something about us personally.
Right.
But it sounds like you haven't done that for yourself. What do you feel like allows you to keep going and push beyond some of the mental chatter that I'm sure you do face, Ginger?
Yeah, I say that I have a weekly quota of no's. Like I need some no's, but there are some weeks where I get like a lot, or sometimes I get a no that like kind of like hurts a bit, and then I'll be like, man, that no hurt. But I have this other saying, I just say next, like next, bring it on. What's next? I'm going to keep
Ah,
moving forward. Yep. And
yeah.
I don't worry about it. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep pushing to the next yes. And I think if you dwell on it, or stress about it too much, it'll bring you down. Put it right behind you, keep going forward.
Oh my God, I love it. So instead of thinking of it as a no, just think of it as a yes. What a wonderful reframe. That is an amazing reframe. I think I'm going to adopt that for myself. So thank you for that. And I'm sure that the listeners of this podcast are really going to get a little bit of relief from just hearing that they don't have to accept no's as no's. They can just think of them as yeses. And I find that that is so fabulous. So let us wrap it on up. And I want you to think of one thing, Ginger, that you can, if there was one thing that you could share with everyone out there in the space to encourage them to keep going, no matter if they are employed or in private practice, what would the one thing be?
Yeah, to me, it's about being brave and taking action. We think and plan so much, but you've got to take action and move forward. And you can talk about it for years, but you have got to like finally do something. And so
Mm.
taking action, I have a real bias for action. Move forward and don't put it off. Life is short, and you got to take those risks now. There's no time to lose.
Oh my God, you're so right. Life is short. Um, and we do need to take some risks. That's for sure. And risks don't kill us, you guys, unless you're jumping off a cliff somewhere without a bungee cord. Okay. However, other than that, you're not going to die if you ask someone for more money. You're
Right.
not going to die if you ask a client, a potential client, to pay you a certain amount of money that you're not used to being paid. You're not going to die if you apply for that remote position in Canada and you're an RD here in the US. You're not going to die. You're actually going to do the opposite. You're going to grow. You are
Yep.
going to grow, you're going to become stronger, and you're going to become more empowered. And just remember, you guys, what Ginger has shared with us, anytime you get a no, just think of it as a yes. Ah, I love this interview. Ginger, thank you so much for being here. And you guys, on the back end, behind the scenes, I had so much trouble getting this thing going today. And it's turned out fabulous. So I am so grateful that you were able to spend some time with me today and to share your wisdom and to share your experience. And I just want to say, keep on keeping on. Keep on doing the great stuff you're doing.
Thanks. Same with you. And I just love your message. And I feel like I hope a lot of people listen to your podcast because it really helps build us up as a group and move us forward. And I find it really inspiring.
Yay, I'm so glad. Well, share with all of your colleagues. Anyone listening out there, share with your colleagues. I have a great lineup of dietitians going forward. And Ginger was our first, and she was the launching pad for a series of more RDs coming on to tell their experiences in this profession to hopefully encourage you and inspire you to do and be great at what you do. All right, Ginger, have a great rest of your day. And thank you so much for being here on the Make More Money as a Dietitian podcast. Hey, if you want to learn more about how you can make more money as a dietitian, I want to invite you to check out my program, Charge What You're Worth. Now, to learn more about this program and how it can help you to become a top earner as a dietitian in business, just head on over to moneymindsetdietitian.com/work with me. Again, that's moneymindsetdietitian.com/work with me, where you can learn more about the Charge What You're Worth program and how it can help you.